Hello everyone, welcome to Remote Lawyer. Today we are going to discuss reviewing non-disclosure agreements, the red flags to watch out for. Now, non-disclosure agreements are documents which are typically appended to almost all kinds of agreements because confidential information is something which we all need to protect. Now, what are the clauses that one should look out for while reviewing non-disclosure agreements? Now, every non-disclosure agreement should have a purpose to it. It should not be an open-ended document. The purpose should be clear, precise, definite, and laid down in exact terms. It should not be vague. So, for example, if you're entering into a due diligence exercise or you are entering into exploring business opportunities, and also mention what kind of business opportunities, all those things should be mentioned in your non-disclosure agreement. And this is very important because the entire premise of the non-disclosure agreement depends upon the purpose for which it is shared. Now, definition of confidential information is also extremely important because that is the subject matter which is sought to be protected. Now, if you are the recipient, make the definition of confidential information narrow. So include XYZ items to it, make the scope not as broad and vague that anything and everything can be included within it. If you are the discloser, then you should make the scope broad and use language such as included but not limited to. The reason being that if you are the one who's sharing the information, you would want as much information to be protected as possible. And if you are the one who's receiving the information, you would want as minimum obligations on you as possible. Now, oral information. Now, this is something which is again a gray area in the realm of non-disclosure agreements. So you would have seen language such as information shared in all formats, written, electronic, or orally shared would be protected. Now, the issue here is that if I tomorrow tell someone a confidential information over the phone, which is not being recorded, now that person goes ahead and shares that information with a third party. How can I prove that I said those particular things? And how can he prove that I did not say those particular things? And that's exactly the issue why oral information is still a very dubious ground where you can protect confidential information. If you are the discloser, go ahead and include oral information within the ambit of confidential information. If you are the recipient, make sure that you have language which says that such oral information needs to be captured in writing within 2 to 3 days of disclosure of such oral information. Now, this would typically, there would be a written proof that, okay, this was the phone conversation we had and this was the information I shared with you. So then in that case, there would be a written valid proof of the oral information shared. Now, if you are the recipient of the information, you should always search for exceptions within the document because there could be certain situations where you have to depart from the confidentiality obligations. For example, if the court of law tells you to disclose confidential information, or if there's a law that mandates disclosure. Now, there are certain times you may get to know the confidential information through a public domain or through sources other than the person who's disclosing it. So therefore, you should have all those exceptions outlined in the non-disclosure agreement. Now, use of confidential information. How is the confidential information shared being used? So you have to make sure that whatever is being shared is not being used for anything other than the purpose outlined in the agreement. And this is where the importance of the purpose comes into picture. So as we saw that every NDA should have a clear outlined purpose because the confidential information shared should be used only for this particular purpose. Now, if, for example, if a company A is entering into an NDA with company B, now company A is receiving confidential information from company B. Now, they may share this information with their employees, agents, consultants, professional advisors, lawyers, etc. Now, how do you protect such kind of disclosure? Because those employees, agents, consultants, etc., are not a party to the agreement. Now, you put this obligation on the receiver itself and tell them that you need to ensure that your employees, agents, consultants, professional advisors do not share my confidential information without express written consent. And that is why if you are sharing this confidential information with a company who may further share it with their employees, agents, consultants, etc., it's their duty to protect such information from being unauthorizedly disclosed. Now, another gray area that NDAs typically have is associated purpose. So yes, I did outline my purpose very clearly, concisely. What if there's an associated purpose to it? How do I incorporate that in the NDA? Now, you should, if the transaction is wide enough that there could be a similar purpose or an associated purpose for which maybe you would need to share the confidential information, then in that case, you should always define the associated purpose, and you should couch it in such a language that that it doesn't go beyond the purpose that is outlined in the agreement before. Now, term and termination. The term of the agreement should always run coterminous with the outlined purpose. So once the purpose is over, the term of this agreement should also get over. However, that does not mean that confidentiality obligations are exhausted. Confidentiality obligations would continue post-termination. Now, typically they continue for a period of 3 to 5 years. Now, both the parties should ideally have a right to terminate. In a unilateral NDA, the discloser may say that it's my sole right to terminate. The comfort you can give them is that even if I do terminate the agreement, the confidentiality obligations for whatever information has been shared till now would still continue post-termination or post-expiry of the agreement. Now, remedies in a NDA should be as wide as possible. Now, monetary damages may not be adequate relief, so injunctive relief should also be demanded. The remedies clause should have a wide language saying that, okay, in case there is any unauthorized disclosure, I have the right to demand any remedy that is allowed to me by law. If you are the discloser, make sure that you have this clause incorporated in your NDA because it may be helpful to you in the future. Thank you, and I hope this video was useful to you. And if you have any queries, please make sure that you reach out to me on LinkedIn or you click our link below, which is https://www.remotelawyer.in. I hope you find these videos insightful and helpful. So looking forward to engage with you all more. Thank you.